My name is Steve Diederich. I'm the VintNerd on YouTube, and I got asked to moderate the YouTubers panel. I don't know how, but I'm doing it. I'm here. So I have met most of you here. No, I'm sorry. I have met all of you here, but most of you don't know me.
So it's parasocial relationship.
Yeah. We've known each other for all 22 hours. So let's go ahead and get introductions going here. In case there's somebody here you don't know, let's start with Mr. Wires. Jeff Wires.
My name is Jeff Wires, and I'm chronologically gaming, playing every video game in order of release.
Right, and that can two things, right? It's chronologically because you're just doing too many of them, and in order, right?
They're all in order, that's right.
Okay, then we got Sean.
I don't know how to use a microphone. I'm sorry. I'm Sean, Action Retro on YouTube, where I use computers incorrectly.
Good way to put it.
Totally normal incorrectly. Like most of the users. Yes. Thomas.
Hi, I'm Tom Cherryhomes. I'm with the FujiNet project, and I make videos about the FujiNet project as well as a wide variety of obscure retro computing subjects.
Nice. And then a little-known man here.
Adrian here, Adrian's Digital Basement, and I repair computers incorrectly on my channel.
Yeah. So that's just over and over.
Yeah,
just incorrect this way, incorrect that way. Okay. You know, the clock always says this time correct twice a day at least, right?
Oh, I am the 8-bit guy, destroyer of IBM computers. Apparently.
If you're going there, you just open the door. That's it. Right? You know, I have my standards, but you let me go past them now. June.
So I'm June from Nybbles and Bytes, and I don't know what I do other than teach people how to use computers, so I don't know if I'm doing something wrong.
Well, you know how to do it, and so it's great to learn from you. And then we have Mackie. Sorry.
Well, yes, there's Mackie, but I'm Kate Fox. I run the YouTube channel Macintosh Librarian, where I talk about retro Macs and how they impacted education.
Nice.
And I'm Clint Basinger of LGR, who people love to blame for computers being very expensive nowadays. And mostly now I just stream birds.
You're stealing my material. David.
I am David Lovett. I have the YouTube channel Usagi Electric, and I actually just make videos about rabbits.
Tell me about the rabbits.
There happens to be a computer somewhere in there.
Nice. So it's a pretty good panel. I watch all of you. I'm not joking. You know, Jeff and I met. I was actually on your channel.
You've been
twice,
on my
I think,
show,
right?
yes.
Yes.
And you never come back.
I came back twice. I'm Team Atari. Oh, you're like some of those things.
I'm Team Everything, yes.
Did I hear a groan? Okay. So this is what we're going to do. We got introductions done. We're going to go through some questions. And then in a little bit, we're going to get the audience involved with yes-no questions. So you've got some time to think about a question. It could be for the whole panel, a subset, or something just birds way out there, or just YouTubing in general, but it's for the panel, and if they say yes, perhaps we'll ask more about them. So think of a question that is a yes-no question, and then we'll get into some more questions, and if there's time at the end, we'll do some fuller audience questions. We'll see how it goes. So first, well, I'll start with Jeff, because you're right here. Jeff Wires, Chronologically Gaming. How many have you added them up that you have to go through?
Oh, the number of games that I will have to go through?
Yeah.
Oh, it's uncountable. I will not finish. I tell everyone that I'll never be done. There's too many.
Seriously, a number. 10,000? 50,000?
The total account, when I add up like different databases that I've worked on or seen, it's around 10 million for total amount of video games.
And these are separate titles?
Yeah,
so it's not like Outrun for the Commodore and then also Outrun for...
That's correct. It's Outrun for all the different ports.
It counts as one.
No, counts as all the numbers. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I have not watched your channel enough, apparently.
Guess I'm going to be waiting a while for the Pesky Robots review then.
So,
do you have to play each one to completion for it to count?
No, I'm not the completionist. I'm only giving everyone the first experience of what it was like when you popped in that disc and played the game for the first time, and just for a few minutes, and then I'd go on to the next one.
Yes, so I did experience that, and what I found cool, and I don't know if you want to share how you do it. I'm at home in my studio, and we're Zooming or whatever we're talking, and I actually downloaded some code. I don't know computers well, and
I hacked your computer.
Yes, and my joystick, I was using an old school joystick with a USB adapter into my MacBook, and I was actually playing the game with Jeff at his studio, live streaming.
Yeah, that was great. You were there for the release of Pac-Man for Atari home computers, which was first. That was available for the first computer. And when he remoted in, I had another guest that was trying to play TL City Color Computer with the analog joystick. He had an analog to USB into his computer, but we never got it to work. But you had an Arduino that you had attached to your computer, and you were able to play that, and he was able to play Pac-Man remotely through software called Parsec, connected to my system, so we could play the game at the same time.
Yes, sometimes I do get it right. Yeah, I want to do it again. It's a lot of fun. Anybody have questions for me? No? Okay. Thomas.
Yes.
Audience, show of hands. Who has a FujiNet, wants one, or knows what it is? Oh, wow.
That is amazing. And
yes.
That is...
Well, that's what I wanted to do. And so I also want to do is let's all give an applause to the hardest working man.
Thank you.
Thank you. Why'd you have to go do it for Commodore, though?
We want to do all the machines, and we're going to do it. So, yeah.
Good. I have a portfolio over here. I'm hoping to get one for that someday.
Yes.
So FujiNet aside, you're up here on a YouTubers panel, and I know your channel's a little smaller, and you're if I may share, you struggle a little bit. You mention it from here and there. What is it other than FujiNet on your channel? What should people go and look for? Or is it just all FujiNet?
It's a whole lot of FujiNet content, because as we start bringing up new features, it's my job to take and show what it can do. But in addition to all the FujiNet content, I try to address a whole bunch of retro computing knowledge that would otherwise have fallen through the cracks. Trying to show, for example, one of my most recent videos in the Retro Computing Archaeology series literally shows how Atari's coin-op development tools worked and how to use them. And my channel is full of videos like that. So,
cool. Cool. So everybody check out Thomas's stuff. Let's go to the end here. David. All right. Well, you were so verbal before. But...
I thought I was going to be like the last one to talk to. So.
Oh no, I never go in order
over here. Now I'm sweating.
Yeah. Well, the channel name Usagi. We talked last year. I asked you like, where'd that come from? I really found that interesting. So tell me again.
He likes rabbits.
So Usagi, a lot of people ask me if it's my last name. It's not.
I think I did.
My last name is just Lovett, like Lyle Lovett. It's super boring. Yeah, no. Yeah, there you go. Usagi just means rabbit in Japanese. And the full story behind it is I was at a bar in Japan. We call it an izakaya. And they have a sake bottle. We all know sake, right? And they call it a keep. That's what they call it. And so this is your bottle. So when the bottle gets low, they top it up, and that's your bottle. So you draw your name on it, and you draw little pictures and whatnot, and then they keep everybody's keep bottle above the bar. And so you get to see everybody's really cool little drawings up there. And, as you do when you got a lot of that liquid stuff inside of you, you come up with dumb ideas with your friends. And so I was like, dude, we should start like a classic car restoration business. And I was like, I have a bunny rabbit. I like rabbits. Let's call it Usagi Motors, man. And so we drew the logo on our keep bottle. And it was not pretty, but we got it there. And then fast forward 5 years later, and I said, you know what, I really kind of want to dip my toes into this YouTube game. Maybe I can borrow that logo. So I went with Usagi Electric, and I changed the ears to vacuum tubes, and that's where the logo and name came from.
Oh, so the logo actually goes back that far.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it goes back, I don't know, the time stopped during the pandemic. It goes back to, I don't know, 2016 or something like that, whenever that was, 900 years ago.
Right. So I also noticed, well, did a little research. Last year you actually asked another panelist, Taylor and Amy, how it was working with somebody else in the room.
Yes.
And now I notice that you are working with somebody else in the room. Usagi, I have my notes. Forgotten Usagi.
Yeah, you forgot it because it's the forgotten Usagi. Is he here? Is AJ in the room?
I do not see him.
He's not. AJ, I am going to throw something at you. All right. So AJ has the Forgotten Machines booth, which is right next to mine out on the main floor. And I've known AJ since this time last year, actually. That was the first time I met AJ. And it turns out that we both have the same kind of unhealthy infatuation with spinning rust. And so I wanted to expand out and maybe dive into this podcast type of thing as just another way to do stuff that's not heavily as edited, and but podcasts when it's just you and the void is kind of boring. So I reached out to AJ. He said, yeah, let's do it. And it's super awkward to talk at a camera with somebody else there. But I hope I'll get used to it.
I find it super awkward to talk to the camera alone in my studio, knowing that my wife Mickey can hear me in the other room. Like, I mean, you see me now, and I'm like, I can't talk. You know, it's awkward. It's nice to have somebody there, and then it's also awkward.
But I don't know. This is probably a good one to toss out to everybody else, because I think all of us on the panel are just alone in a room looking at a camera.
Oh, we're all loners. Right? That's why.
Yeah. Right. So anybody can pick this up. LGR, when you're filming, is anybody there? It's just you and a camera, right?
I'm not even sure if I'm there sometimes.
So if I was sitting in the back behind the camera just looking at you,
that'd be creepy, man.
I mean, it'd be kind of like this right now.
Super creepy.
I mean, it's not so bad.
Eye contact. Keep the eye contact up. There we go.
There we go.
Staring into the abyss.
I mean, you know, it's all right. Yeah, I would not know what to do with somebody else working with me. I have no idea how to do that, and that's why I kind of started to begin with. Because I prefer doing my own thing in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, it's in one way it is great when you have a partner and you can bounce stuff off of them, blame them for something maybe. But it's also great when you could just work alone and get through those. I don't know how everybody else here works. I go through like some crazy thoughts and get it down to like one, and then it gets nixed maybe. But yeah, it's great working alone. But Clint, working alone, well, KFC, HBO, they're all acronyms. LGR, which doesn't stand for larger, but stands for Lazy Game Reviews. When did that stop? Because you're doing the stuff you're doing. I love the real oddity stuff. You buy some things on eBay late at night, maybe a little more sake, drawing on bottles.
Getting into my keep bottle over here, man. Yeah. That's my sake.
So when did that switch? Like, when did you find you obviously wanted to do Lazy Game Reviews, and that's great. When did you move? I don't want to say mature or whatever, but when did you move into doing other things?
When did I drop off? No, it was So when I began 15 years ago, doing game reviews on YouTube was still this like fresh thing. So I just wanted to basically copy and imitate the people that I liked, Classic Game Room and whatnot. And I was like, dude, that just seems fun. It's like something to do after work. And so I did that for a while, and then after 5 or 6 years, it became reviewing games and covering games and only ever playing games for the job. It was the job after a while. I started making money doing that, and it's like, well, then you start thinking every time you're playing a game, it just becomes a works mindset, and it gets I got stuck in my own head of just not enjoying games anymore. Every time I would play something, I'm like, I should be capturing, I should be taking notes, I should be doing this and that, and then I just didn't want to play games at all. And that sucked because it was kind of like, one of my big escapes in terms of just having fun and unwinding after a day of work. And then if that is the work, well, then what? So then I started branching out and covering like, okay, well, what about the hardware I was playing the games on? And then that spiraled into oddities that I never even heard of or saw and always wanted to get. Or, after a while, after doing well, it's like, okay, now I can afford some of the stuff that I could just never even dream of having, the really crazy big workstation-y type of things that I'm getting more and more into now, or stuff like that.
Or heavy metal, perhaps.
Yeah, just a little
Large
bit.
scale computing's where it's at, man.
I know. So it's like,
If your computer can't murder you, what are you even doing?
Yeah, I'm very much into weaponized machines, so that kind of thing.
Well, the TI-99 in the early days could murder you, so...
Yeah.
It's a little lighter. But
Oh, you can still go to CRTs anytime.
Yeah.
Stick your hands in there.
Just touch the
I'm working on that
Always
with
another
you.
spiral.
You got to keep it fresh as a creator, and also you're your own boss. I mean, all of us up here, I guess I'm making an assumption, but nobody here works for somebody doing this, right?
My overlords don't want me to answer that question.
Well, Thomas, you are special, and I mean that in a lovingly way.
Thank you.
So you got to be your own boss. And what I notice on your site, on your YouTube info, 3 weeks on, 1 week off.
Yeah.
When did you start doing that?
I think actually right after or kind of during the pandemic. It was just another attempt at trying to refocus on what was really important for my own mental health, and also being able to just balance a little bit of that work-life balance or imbalance, really, as it is, and being stuck at home even all the time at that point, like everybody else, you just start getting a little stir-crazy and feeling weird, and not being able to go to the external places or visit friends as a release from staying at home working on stuff all the time. And so at that point, I'm like, something's got to give. Either I've got to cut back more drastically across the board and make lesser quality, shorter videos or something, or I try to do a couple of simpler-ish videos and then work on one larger one for a couple weeks. And so that week off is really just catching up. But it still feels way better than what I was doing, which is never stopping and just being at home way too much.
Yeah, well, we all do this because we love it and it's fun, but it does become a job. It feels like a job sometimes. There's projects I want to do. I'm like, it's going to be way cool on video, and I don't get to it because it's more work to get it on video. And then I see it in the corner. I'm like, I really want to play with that, but I haven't done it yet. So it's a balance in that respect. We'll get back to birds.
Okay,
birds are good.
Yes,
David. I talked to you a little bit ago, and wanted to bring up your video on the cursor keys, because I mean it's in your wheelhouse, but it's not what I usually see you do. More of an expose on something like that. And I personally found, if you haven't seen it, it's really good, showing the history. They're just ambiguous, cursor keys, but they came from somewhere, and they didn't come well at the beginning. They just kind of got we got a corner here, we can shove some keys or double them up or something. So what got you to do that?
I don't know. I've just got a kind of a list of weird, obscure documentaries like that I've wanted to make for a long time, and that's kind of what I'm focusing on now, since I've kind of changed the direction of my channel a little bit. And I wish I had a better answer for you on that. It's just something that's been in the back of my mind for years, because I grew up on the Commodore machines, obviously, and they had a cursor key style that I had grown very accustomed to using. But then, you ask somebody else that's new, that's never used one before, to sit down in front of a Commodore, they're like, how do you use these things, whatever. But it's just muscle memory for me, because I've been doing it since I was 6. So I don't know. I just thought it would be something interesting to talk about.
Yeah, David, yesterday I went to go use an Apple II, and that's what I grew up with, and I hit shift and the arrow key, and I'm like, what's happening here? Oh, it's an Apple II. 4 keys.
It's nice that we're in a room full of people that actually appreciate and understand it.
Yeah.
That there are cursor keys.
That there are cursor keys.
For a reason.
The foibles of the different layouts.
Yes.
Wait, as an early Macintosh user, what's a cursor key?
Yeah, Mac 128. Hello.
Yeah.
Steve.
Got to keep those
Keypad,
clean
hello?
lines. Nobody's going to need cursor keys. Or more than one button on the mouse.
It's fun.
Yes. So, Adrian, you brought up monitors, and I did want to ask you. There was a video. Well, I have an Apple III monitor. I was going to hook it up to my Atari and play some light gun games because you need a glass tube for that. And it wasn't. I grabbed it, tried it. It wasn't working. I also want to update the monitor. And who out there searches? But show of hands, you search on the internet how to fix something. And invariably, you get an Adrian Black video. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Is there anything you haven't fixed?
I mean, yeah, a whole lot. It's literally the fixing happens because I have these computers that I've always wanted to have. It's kind of what Clint was talking about, like being able to get these things I dreamed about when I was a kid. And everything's broken. So I was like, well, I better teach myself how to fix these things. And then I started doing it. So if I haven't... Well, some things are reliable and don't break, not Commodore 64s. So therefore, you don't really have to do much fixing. But a lot of times, it was just out of necessity that I had to figure out how to fix it. But if I haven't come across it because I don't have it in my own personal collection or hasn't come across my path, then yeah, I haven't fixed it. But the thing is, it's all the same. Everything is like so similar. Like CRTs, all of them work similarly. So I can fix one, I can fix them all pretty much. Or same with any of the computers, same thing. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Similar, sure. What I do find myself is some of this early stuff, they came up with their own way of doing something. And I go back and I work on a computer, that I never worked on before. And I'm like, why did they do it that way?
Yeah, definitely. Like some things are a product of their time. Yeah. And even like the very first Commodore PET, I think the Commodore engineers went into a book they found at the library and then designed the CRT in the PET 2001 based off a reference schematic of some TV or something. And it's very weird how it's done. But the reality is, fundamentally, all this stuff, even though there's some differences in implementation, do work generally exactly the same way, or at least the logical parts of it are. So when
there were only so many parts to make these things out of 40 years ago.
And it's not even that. Like the CRT that was built in 2001 might have some consolidation of parts into a single chip, but the fundamental building blocks of what makes a CRT work are exactly the same from a 1940 set to a 2005 set that we're at the end of the line.
And the basic diagnostic steps to do all the bootstrapping to figure out are pretty much the same. Okay, do you have power? Is it going here?
Yeah, the thought process, the repair, logical reasoning is so similar across literally. I liken it to fixing computers the same as fixing anything else in your life. Your dishwasher, your car. I mean, the tools might be different that you're going to use to do repairs, but the reasoning that you go through to get to the solution is exactly the same.
Yeah, troubleshooting.
Yeah, and that ruling out of it can't be this because it's doing these other symptoms, and that immediately helps you zone in or zoom in onto the actual fault area, and then you can start digging around some more in there.
So one troubleshooting thing I always had in my back pocket, which I don't want to use anymore. Who here, hands, knows the 5-inch drop test? Right. Now the plastic's so old, I don't want to drop an Atari 800 on the desk,
No, and honestly, that's no different than just pushing on the chips if you open it.
Open it though.
Well, so yeah, just open it and push the chips.
You want to cut corners, man.
I think that's fixed something. I've had the odd thing fixed by doing that, by pushing the chips back into the sockets, but it's definitely an uncommon failure.
Yeah.
Percussive maintenance.
I heard that on Dave Jones' channel once the first time, and I've stolen that too. Yeah.
If I drop any of my machines, they're likely to crack the concrete.
Yes.
Yeah, try doing that to the Bendix.
The 5-ton drop test.
Yeah. The Bendix G15 literally weighs in at 960 pounds.
Wow.
It almost killed me once, but I'm still here. So
I learned years ago,
striving for that death by computer.
Right. We'll keep an eye out for that. But for example, I don't move pianos anymore. There's just, and you've got pianos, man. So, well, I'm going to keep on Adrian for a second because the monitors. So I looked up my Apple III I found your video, and in the video, you discharged the CRT, of course, but not on camera.
Yeah, that I've learned to steer clear of contentious issues.
Right.
The one I don't like, I have no qualms about showing is like taking caps off, surface mount caps off boards using the wiggle method I use. But the CRT discharging, it's dangerous. I mean, I try to remember to put disclaimers in there to say, don't do this unless you really know what you're doing.
Right.
It's not. I think the danger is overrated. The danger is more from the 120 volts coming out of your wall at 15 amps. But anyways, I've gotten many shocks over the years, and I'm still here. Just a little tingles. No.
So I found it interesting that you chose not to record that and explicitly said you're not doing it because you get all those fun comments.
Yeah, everyone thinks they have the right way to do it, and maybe they do, and maybe they don't. But
right, you didn't even put it to ground. So
yeah, well, you got to do it a certain way. You can damage something in the monitor, anyways.
Right.
Yeah.
So is there on the panel here? Is there anyone else who does their videos and there's something you just don't want to put on video anymore that you
thermal paste.
What's that?
Thermal paste.
Thermal paste.
Is that the right amount, Kate? I don't know.
Is it a pea size or a line or an X?
Or a grain of rice?
I missed this. What?
So I repaired a 2017. It's modern stuff, not retro, but I still repaired a 2017 iMac, put a new i7 chip in it, and I put sensor mosaics over the thermal paste like it was
blurred out.
It was pixelated.
That is good.
Because you'll always get comments saying that you didn't apply it correctly,
it's
or
too much,
you put
it's
too
too
much,
little,
or you're insulating the chip by putting so much. So thermal paste, skip that over.
There's that one creator, he always says, I'm putting the exact amount on. He just puts a bunch on. The guy who fixes all those PlayStations and stuff. I forgot his name.
See, that's why I don't put any thermal paste or compound or anything.
Well, you might do it, but you just don't film it, so then everyone goes, you didn't put thermal paste.
Air isn't a perfect insulator, right?
Yeah, I live in Portland. We don't have insulation in walls, so there's just air in my walls. I'm not kidding. It's a 100-year-old house, and it does a little bit of a job, but not really.
So you got lath and plaster, I assume.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm from the Northeast. A lot of food.
Oh yes, same exact thing.
Yeah.
We just have wood instead of bricks.
Yep. Sean.
Yes.
Totally normal computing.
As normal as it gets.
Yes, I really like the stuff.
Thank you.
So, what are some of the things that you thought of doing and you're just like, no, I'm not going to do it. You do some crazy stuff, but what is some things you're like, that's too crazy or not crazy enough, maybe?
I don't think I've ever thought something is too crazy. Pretty much any stupid idea I have is only limited by what I can find. So yeah, I mean, yeah, if you've watched my channel, I usually make pretty bad decisions. So, like I recently made the world's worst laptop by taking an old industrial computer and a car battery out of my old Jeep and a power inverter. And I know there's better ways to do it. The comments told me, oh, why didn't you just do this and this? I'm making a laptop out of an industrial computer. I'm taking liberties. So I think that's my whole ethos. I don't think there's anything off the table.
Cool. Well, I like one of your latest videos. You were using the old hard drives on the Raspberry Pi.
Yes.
To be honest, I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. It got served to me, but it's definitely in my queue.
Oh, thanks.
So it's good. You want to ruin it for me? Any even more?
Yeah, well, so there's these old hard drives. I took a Raspberry Pi and connected it to the hard drives, and
well, I should be able to watch that one on the plane.
You could watch that on a float tank.
So, Shenanigans Anonymous, does it exist? Have you thought of starting one?
That's a good idea, yeah. So, well, I feel like we'd enable each other if
Yes.
such a group existed.
So, for pennies a day, you can help keep Sean on the streets so that Sean can find out how people really are using these computers nowadays. But you're like my soul brother in a sense.
Oh, thanks.
I come up with these crazy things, and they don't always work, but when they do, it's really cool, isn't it?
I like it when they don't work.
Oh, really?
That's more fun.
Okay, we're a little opposite on that, but
Yeah.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. David, I wanted to get back to you you have a second channel now, or at least a second channel of another one for arcades, right?
That's correct.
And I'm going to make an assumption here. You do this with your brother, I believe?
Actually, yeah, my brother and one other guy. It's kind of a three-way partnership.
Okay, because he's got the Arcade Room channel where he does a lot of arcade cabinets. So there's a little bit of, I hate the word synergy, but a little bit of synergy there.
Yeah.
So do you see yourself, everybody morphs, right? Just like LGR and so forth, not Sean yet. But do you see yourself do you love it enough that you just see yourself just doing arcades now?
No, I never really planned that to be a complete replacement for the 8-bit guy. But I have been doing the 8-bit guy for 10 years, and I talked about this on my channel a little bit. It's just it's stressful. I could go ad nauseum as to why it's stressful, but I was just kind of wanted to do something different, and we started this arcade project nearly 3 years ago at this point, and we've been working towards that. Sorry, I'm just rambling. I don't know.
No, that's fine. You can't edit here, right? Yeah. So rambling's normal. If anybody up here, rambling happens in real life. You don't put it in your video, but no, it's all cool. So what's some of the machines that you really are looking forward to restoring? Because I love all the 80s, 79 and 80s.
Actually, we've already restored most everything we're about to open here in a couple months. So it's actually really what it really boils down to now is the machines I'm dreading restoring. I'm actually working on one of those right now.
You saved the worst for last.
Yeah, kind of. I'm working on a baby Pac-Man right now. And not only is it half a pinball machine, which is a whole other thing I haven't gotten into, but the battery on the main board leaked, and I've never seen such terrible corrosion. The actual motherboard itself has delaminated and split into two boards. It is that it's gone. It's just gone. So
Adrian can fix it.
I'm like, I'd help David out, but I'm like, no. It's all you. It's all you.
Yeah. Package shows up next week.
And a mail call item. Oh, I dropped it in the trash.
Recycle, man.
Yeah, it's our e-waste.
But you kept the gummies.
Yeah.
June. So, yesterday we talked out in the main hall. June's got a booth over there, and they're like, "Come play my game." And
yes, please come play my game.
It's awesome.
Yeah, right.
Awesome. Makes you slow and fat.
Who here has played June's game? Oh,
wow.
Well, the rest of you have to go check it out.
It's great.
You're here all weekend. Your booth is in the main hall. So it's a C128, Commodore 128 for those.
Yep, that's right.
For us Atari guys might not know that. So
you should. Commodore and Atari are kind of linked.
I know. Isn't that?
Jack is staring at you.
I do find it bizarre that the whole mishmash between Trammell going over there and so forth.
Yep.
But you've got two monitors on it because the C128 has 3 processors in it, right? Is it 3? 2?
No, it's only 2. 2. So you've got the 65.
No, 3 modes. 3 modes. I'm an Atari guy, sorry.
Okay, so yeah, there's the native 128 mode, there's 64 mode, and then there's CPM mode.
Right, and your game runs in
native mode, which is unheard of for most games ever made for it.
And with that, you're able to access the 2 video display outs.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. And so you came up, did you think of the game first? I'm sorry. Did you think of the game first, or you were like, I got to make something that uses both monitors?
So I actually got a challenge issued by a guy some of you guys know by the name of Bo Zimmerman. I went to one of his club meetings, and he challenged everybody to make a Snake game for whichever machine that he had. And I just figured, okay, I'll give it a shot. And I made the Snake game. And then I was like, well, that's kind of cool, but how do I make this, really use the 128's capabilities? Because nobody uses the 80-column screen. Nobody, tries to make it do anything other than just text, right?
Except David.
Yeah, except you.
Except David.
Except you. That's true. You're right. Sorry. You're right. But, the general thought is that there's so few games that use both screens. So I was trying to stretch a little bit and came up with Nybbles' Legend of the Drunken Snake.
Nice. Another question for you. But we're going to go into the audience questions, yes/no questions. There's a mic over here. If you want to, maybe 5 or 6 people, maybe. If you want to line up, if you have a yes/no question for the panel. So I found your game bizarre.
Excellent.
Right. That is what I like. I like bizarre. And I kind of want to say what it, but I don't want to ruin it. You got to go play the game.
Go play the game. Drink
Yes.
the beer. It's fun.
Drink the. See, I don't want to give that part up. The whole. It's a good game. You got to check it out over there. So I have. Jeff has. Oh, take one, pass it down.
I'm here. No.
Oh, did I not? We
You didn't
talked.
go over me.
Cool.
No. No,
I-
it's okay. It's okay. I'm here.
I quit
No.
before I'm fired.
Oh my god.
It's okay.
I apologize, Kate.
No, it's fine.
All right, sorry, everyone.
I'm just listening. I'm just
It's not fine. I'm gonna need you to leave right now.
You don't seem to be on the guest list. No. Oh, it's supposed to say on. Yeah, sorry. Say, yes. So I actually, I have some good questions for you.
Awesome.
So Macintosh Librarian.
Yes.
I'm not sure how to ask this. Have you ever been a librarian?
No, I'm actually an electrical engineer.
Oh, really?
Yes, not a librarian, electrical engineer. So,
I
yeah.
don't think I was aware of that. So
Well, I play a librarian on TV, but
nice. So Macintosh is in the title of your YouTube channel.
yes,
So
they are.
you love Apple?
I do. I mean, I grew up with a lot of Apple computers, and actually, Apple computers, Apple IIe's, and I actually had an Amiga 500 when I was growing up. So I don't I'm not only Apple, right?
Well, of course. I mean, you got 2E's and other things.
Yes.
So, was there ever a chance of a Atari Librarian channel?
I do want to branch out into other machines as well. I have some SGI machines that I want to show off, and Amigas and Commodores. So and PCs. So it's
Nice.
not all Macs, but those were my first love.
Well, you did work with the Next with
Yes.
Sean, right? You guys collabed on a video for that,
Yes,
and that's some pretty rare stuff.
Yeah, I was lucky enough that a viewer, she donated I paid a good fair price for these Next machines, and now I have a Next computer and 2 slabs, which, for those that don't know, Steve Jobs, when he left Apple or was fired from Apple in the 80s, he went off to form a company called Next. They are a really awesome computers that were used a lot in colleges back in the 80s and 90s.
And
No.
well,
Invented the web browser invented on the Next.
Yes,
right?
that's right.
and the Next didn't just completely die. The Mac OS came from the Next.
Right.
Right.
So a lot of
When
Es-
when
essentially
Steve
Next.
Apple came back.
When Steve Apple came back, essentially the first version of Mac OS was a predecessor to Next Step OS. So, and even now, I believe if you count the version number of Mac OS, it's still, you can trace it all the way back to Next, and there's still some function calls in the C# library that still have NS in it for
Oh,
Next
really?
Step. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, my the closest I've been to a Next was Moscone Center when it was new. They came out, and I went there for a convention, and I'm like, oh, that's cute, but there's Macs, but and then it's like, oh, they bought them out and whatever.
You missed out.
Well, sorry to
Oh,
have
no, you're
missed
fine,
you.
you're fine.
And
You're fine.
and Mackie, I want to apologize to Mackie as well. Where's Tui? Out at the booth.
Yes, he's manning the booth right now. So
Does not aware that any of the other panelists have a sidekick on their.
Oh, yeah, no.
oh, you got Rami, yeah.
Yeah, there's Rami. I bet.
Oh, okay.
That was a viewer donation. Kate's creation is like next level.
Yes.
Do you have a secret sidekick off
Next
camera?
level.
Next level.
Only I see it and talk to him.
Yeah. Thank you.
No, thanks.
So we have some questions from the audience, and I am not 2020, so let's see here. Who's up first? What do you got for us?
Greetings, programs.
Greetings.
End of line.
I asked this end of line. I asked this question about a year ago when I was walking away from this panel. So I've been waiting a year to ask all of you guys this question. 42. That's an excellent answer, 42. So I need to format it into a yes/no thing, and I've been thinking about it. So I know we talk a lot about YouTube. Any of you Twitch? And I'm not talking about a medical condition.
That's a good question. I had it on the docket in a bit. So that's very good. So who? Twitch?
Nope.
LGR? Can somebody show him how to use that? Did you rip it in half? You know how hard that was to print and put on the plane and bring it here? Well, thanks for asking. I'm going to get more into that because
the follow-up would be why or why not.
And I'll step away. I'm talking at proxy here, but there's another creator who's fantastic. His name's Shelby, and he runs Tech Tangents.
Tech Tangents.
Yes. And I have spent some time talking with Shelby over Discord and chatting with him about it. And I actually asked that exact question: why Twitch? Because he made, I don't want to say a shift to Twitch, but he's kind of splitting his time halfway between Twitch and YouTube now. And essentially, he said the form factor of Twitch, the fact that it's live, allows him to explore other projects that otherwise would not make good YouTube content. So he has the YouTube content that's edited, that has a story and a narrative behind it, and then he has the Twitch content that is live, working on some stuff with your buddies, chatting with these guys. And so it was the totally different aspect of how you could present what you were working on through the platforms that he found interesting. If he watches this, Shelby, please don't be angry if I got it wrong.
We'll have him here next year.
Yeah. Well, I did Twitch kind of as a joke, right? So a long time ago, Mr. David Murray made a video about the Power Mac G5 being obsolete. So I thought that would be a fun challenge. So I put Linux on my Power Mac G5 and got it to stream to Twitch. And that's how I use Twitch. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. But.
And you're streaming all your games. Was I on Twitch?
Yeah, you're on Twitch.
Oh, okay, so
so yes, you can say yes
on Twitch.
I originally was going to do the show as a react show where I don't know what game is next, and everything is all set from a filter in Launchbox. And as I get to the game, I realize, the next game released is, and I get to play it along with everybody. But after playing adventure games and text adventure games, and you don't plan ahead of time, you have no idea how long it took me to open the door on Mystery House on the Apple II. So we don't do that anymore.
Right. 10 million possibilities.
Go door.
Couldn't be Paperboy today.
I think for me, I was just going to add, like, what Shelby does is interesting, but I guess I make a lot of my videos as a historical record, so to speak, and I think I personally wouldn't have the amount of brain power required to turn a live chaotic Twitch stream into some consumable story-driven YouTube video that's postable. So it's like an either-or thing. So I can't go through the repair process on Twitch live and then turn that into a video that's useful, in at least my format. So I have to pick one, and Twitch is very, I mean, I don't know, I'm not a Twitch streamer, but obviously it feels very transitory. Like, it's, people don't always archive their streams, right? So they disappear, and then that's that. Like, there's no records of that stuff.
It's, correct me if I'm wrong, it's just like live streaming on YouTube. Anything can happen.
But it's like, you have a 6-hour stream troubleshooting one problem on a computer. That's hard to consume in the future if someone's trying to figure out how to fix that thing.
Right, and that 6-hour stream to repair would have only taken 4 hours.
If you weren't talking and chatting.
Right.
Or less, yeah. I mean, doing the YouTube filming adds a lot of extra time, as all of us can attest. But at the same time, you're doing it with the idea that it's going to be turned into content, as opposed to a Twitch stream, which is just live streaming. And yeah,
I think another part of it is my daughter watches a lot of live stuff like that, and I happen to walk by and see some of the stuff, and sometimes I'm scratching my head how that's even entertainment. But nevertheless, the thing that I gather from it is a lot of that has to do with the streamers' personalities. Like, they're entertaining, they make jokes and all this stuff. I am not good at that sort of thing. I'm good at technical stuff, making content. Here's how things work, and I put it together in a script, and whatnot. You put me in a live audience, and I got to do something I've never done before. I'm going to be probably the most boring person you've ever listened to, and I'll probably have like 12 people watching me. So it just doesn't seem like it's worth the time for me to do that. It's
what's your best joke?
Yeah, you got me on that.
Well, Twitch was born by just people sitting there playing games. So majority of Twitch streamers are just sitting there and you're watching the game more than the streamer, unless they are entertaining, either irate or angry. But you have to really use a lot of improv. So if you wanted to be good on Twitch, you have to make stuff up off the top of your head. And if you're not good at that, because I've invited other people on my show, and a lot of people say, no, I have to do improv, and I don't want to do improv. Sorry.
I almost said no. But it's just me. Well, let's ask the audience. Twitch, not that you stream it yourself, but you're during the day, the evenings when you're working on stuff. Do you have something like Twitch in the side, just playing constantly? Hands? Okay, I thought it would have been more, because I've heard a lot of people that they just watch things on the side.
If you asked that at a game conference, I'm sure there would be a huge number of people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Cool. Next question.
Okay, this actually kind of ties into it. Is how many of y'all have like a theater background, theater drama kid, or done stand-up comedy or improv or anything like that?
How many of you have been beaten up in high school?
We have to yes no-ify that, right?
Yeah. Yes, no.
Yes, no.
That's an interesting question. You're thinking there's some performance in their early years, and they want to continue doing that. So it didn't look like yes, no.
Oh, I was replying to the beaten up part, not the.
Okay.
So my question coming off of that is how many of you have backgrounds in electrical engineering or electronics or computers?
I do, but ironically, I'm completely self-taught. I grew up in a hacker household.
Likewise. Yeah, my dad was doing computer repair and all kinds of crazy stuff. He used to work for Pertec, so
Yep.
yeah, it's sort of in my blood.
Yes.
I would tend to think it's more you start working with something. It could be a woodworking shop, it could be a muscle car, some relatives in the cars, but you got into computers, electronics, and you just asked why. Like why does that work? Why does it support 2 monitors? Why does it got 2 processors? Why does it have cursor keys? So you start to answer the question. If you are the type of person that wants to answer a question like that to yourself, then this is what you get into. And I'm sure a lot of people out here have hobbies where you just know stuff. There's just stuff that nobody else knows, but it's because you dug into it.
Yeah.
Next question.
All right. This is probably a question you've all heard many times.
Yes, no, of course.
But we'll go for it. So, given through the years how things have changed with YouTube and monetization, and we've seen the growth of platforms such as Patreon to provide ways for people like me to help pay for people like you to do this stuff. So, the landscape of this kind of work has changed, it seems like. So, knowing what you know now, if you were fresh, would you become a YouTube creator now, or would you go, no, that's become hard? So
I'm a little confused. Is that like if we go back in time and start off?
I think now, if you know what you know now.
So would I start it today?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let me ask a follow-up question on that.
Sure.
Well, yes, no, I was going to say hands, but you guys got special cards. I don't do it for a living at this point. Maybe someday. I'd love to. That's why I'm doing it, because I love the stuff. But some of you on the panel, this is actually your day job, right? So yes or no, whose day job is this?
Oh.
Very recently, but yes.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Raise your hand.
Is it your day
Is it
job?
your day job?
No, it is not my day job.
Okay. So about half of yous. Yeah. Okay. Nice.
And I'm too new. I was born from the fires of COVID, so I've only been going a year.
I'm 3, I think, but yeah, I was bored.
All right.
And I wanted to relive, like, there's just stuff. I love computers. I kind of hate the new computers, but the old stuff it's muscle. I tell people it's like muscle cars. You get your hands in it. You know, I can't open my MacBook and tweak stuff. I'll void the warranty and break it.
Because the police come.
So can I build off of his question right quick to ask LGR here?
One super quick follow-up. Given what you know, if someone came to you and said, I've got this awesome idea, I'm thinking about doing it, would you tell them you should go for it, or no, maybe think of some different ideas?
Of course, go for it.
Yes,
yeah.
of course.
Yeah. Always try.
Do it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. Yes or no, sir?
Hello. Do you have any side projects that you're excited about and wish more people knew about?
Drink the beer.
Meaning not YouTube, not retro computers.
Oh. Anything.
Like-
Anything that we probably don't know about, I guess.
Like birds.
Yeah. Rabbits. We're gonna have a good conversation.
I have a 1998 Jeep Cherokee XJ. That's my favorite thing in the world, other than my computers. No, it's not. The heads go.
Is that good? Follow up?
Oh, that's good. I just saw there was more yeses, so
Yeah.
I was curious.
Well, for everybody who said yes, just what is the other project?
I work. Well, I'm. Sorry. I guess my MX-5. I'm slowly doing upgrades to it.
I also have an
Planning
MX-5,
on doing motocross.
weirdly enough.
Nice. They're awesome.
That's awesome.
Best roadster ever.
Yeah.
Nice.
What generation?
It's the new one. It's the ND.
Nice.
I think like Clint's talked about this in the past, is that sometimes like when you do the YouTube stuff, it consumes a lot of your time, and you have to have hobbies on the side that you don't want to put on the internet. It takes it can take the fun out of it. So you end up with hobbies on the side that you just, I mean, whether people know or not is fine, but not making videos about it just because you can have a normal hobby where like normal people where you're just doing it and for fun, and then you're, whatever, you're not accountable to anyone or any schedules or requirements. So yeah.
Would you post those on like Instagram on your personal account?
I don't even
or,
use social
Or is it like just you just?
I'm not a social media person,
Yeah.
so I'm the wrong person to ask.
Okay. Well, thank you for the question, and we have one more. Yes, no.
Yes. Given
No.
your deep technical knowledge of all of y'all's respective YouTubes, how many of y'all are really surprised just how popular LGR birds are?
Not surprised.
So you're not surprised that it's as popular as it is? The wife and I in the background will keep LGR birds on, or Simon Says Farm with the goats, and it's very enjoyable.
He's like, hey, we watch LAX live planes. We're in Southern California, and I asked that question myself. Like, why do I watch this? So
I've sat at the park by the In-N-Out many times watching the planes come in.
Nice.
Lost luggage.
Yeah, so I can see a birds channel. There are birders out there. Yeah, and you are capturing them.
Yeah, so a paint dry live stream. Great one. Paint the wall and point a camera.
Yeah, I think David should start a Retrobrite live stream.
Yes.
Oh yeah. And
Hey,
you come
start
out
a betting
occasionally, check it.
How long do you think this will take to Retrobrite?
I know the answer. I did a Retrobrite live stream out my back window. It worked. Just sun brightening. Just the sun. It was pretty good.
A really slow time lapse of retrobrighting would be just very therapeutic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, with birds tweeting in a bird's nest, maybe. Combo.
Set to Brian Eno's music for airports.
Well, thank you for all those questions. If there's time at the end, we'll get to some fuller audience questions. But I want to go on to an actual topic. This, most of you probably recognize the Atari portfolio.
Those poor hinges.
Gotta hack the pin.
Easy money.
Man, you beat me to it. I was going to say somebody. I'm waiting for it. You know, I can't post anything about somebody going like John Connor. So this is an Atari portfolio.
Nice.
I picked it off eBay, and LGR, you have a video on portfolios. How much memory do they have?
I don't remember. It was in my script and I read it, so it's already one brain out the other, man. Yeah. I want to say it was like 64K, but I don't remember.
Oh, you're close. It's 128K.
Doesn't that one have
Atari
512?
made the Atari portfolio.
It might have the RAM expansion and all this stuff, so it was all modified. So I don't remember.
Oh, okay. So you had an expansion, a memory expansion.
I was sent like an entire bin of all the extras for it, and I had to send it all back because it was just borrowed for that.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, it was a temporary pleasure.
Nice. So this computer doesn't exist. All Atari portfolios came with 128K.
Yeah.
They never made one with 512K. So I will go with LGR since you're familiar with this. What's the badge say on that thing? Wow, right?
It says wow. Atari Portfolio 512.
Yeah,
right on the badge.
Yeah, open it up. Don't go in the back yet.
Did? Yeah, those did exist.
Sounds like a haunted house.
Medic.
Yeah, it's on the faceplate as well.
It is, and you would think that somebody upgraded to 512K and go through the effort and making you can get replacement bezels. It just says Atari Portfolio.
Yeah.
Right. So what's it say on the bottom?
If you're reading this, you're too close. I mean, a lot of things. What are you looking for? The
part number.
HPC 004512.
Yes.
Yes. So literally, the part number on it does not exist on the internet. It's an HPC 004-512 for 512K. It's a factory Atari portfolio with 512K on the motherboard from the factory. And here's the crazy thing.
It can be yours for 3 easy payments of $19.99 a month.
So I have way too many eBay safe searches, and I like accessories for the portfolio. And this popped up as $100 with a card, and it came with, if anybody's seen the little HVAC, the heating ventilation adapter. Back in the day, they used to hook them up, take the portfolio out on the job, hook them up to the HVAC machines in the commercial buildings, check how the system's working or not. So this thing had a life. The keyboard is dirty. It came with that interface. It was $100. I didn't even see the bottom, and there was no photo of the bottom. And I was just, it says 512, and this is bizarre. And I got to find out why. So, bing, buy now. So I got it, and I was shocked at the part number on the bottom. So
some of the developer units, when DIP was making the unit for Atari, some of the internal developer units did have 512 on the motherboard. So this may
I was
be
not
one of
aware. But just development units, right? So I contacted the seller, and I said, "Where'd this come from?" Because it had a life. It wasn't a developer thing. Somebody used it out on site for HVAC machines, and he said it just showed up on e-recycling day one day. So it almost ended up in the garbage. And as far as I'm aware, there isn't another one on the planet. I'm assuming there is, but I can only find 2 references, and one is from the Japanese engineer who said that they made a small batch of those and never sold them. So what I want to bring up the topic is, what can we do so that some of the stuff like this just doesn't end up in the garbage? Thoughts?
Make friends with your local recycler.
Yeah, that's it.
But how do we...
I actually know several people on Discord that do this as like a daily thing. they actually contact and they live in the areas where some of the manufacturing places were and where the scrappers have cropped up, and they've saved multiple PDP-11 chassis and all kinds of other stuff that would otherwise be destined for the trash heap. Now, some of them are lost causes, of course.
You're right.
You get to a point where you just can't restore a machine, especially the big ones. But, I mean, really...
I think Mackey's having a bad...
Oh.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
He just rebooted.
Started talking about e-recycling.
Ran out of battery.
It's a lie.
Oh, no. Keep him away from the scrapper.
Don't scrap Mackie.
Did he get tired?
He got tired.
He's taking a nap.
But as June was saying, that Plexus computer that I'm working on my channel, that computer was saved from scrapping. It was at the e-waste place, and someone grabbed it for me.
But at least it made it there.
It did make it there, but I think most cities, I mean, I live in Portland, and it's, you can't, if you put a computer by the curb, well, either a scrapper grabs it, but the trash company won't take it. They'll leave a note to say you need to e-waste it. So it goes into the e-waste stream, but really no one in there most people are not familiar with what might be something that's interesting versus just another piece of commodity stuff that's just tossed. So the only way is if you get to know the people, if you're into this hobby, get to know the people in your local area. And a lot of them, maybe you kick them a little bit of cash and they're completely fine, or make a donation if it's a nonprofit or whatever, and just start to save. But you run into the issue, you can't save everything.
That's right.
Yes.
You're one person, and there's all sorts of stuff that I get offered, and I was just like, I can't take another Mac whatever, cheese grater thing, and I'm just like, recycle it. I don't know.
So at that point, instead of recycling, your best bet is to either make friends with your local vintage community, see if anybody's interested in restoring these machines, and then failing that, get a hold of your local museums. So a little known fact is I actually volunteer every weekend for a museum down in San Antonio called the San Antonio Museum of Science and Technology. And we're actually taking in donations to go and build an interactive museum where people can use things like punch card machines and like IBM System 36s and stuff like that. And we're actively looking for parts because you can't get parts for these machines, and they just end up in scrappers' hands. So they don't know what to do with it, and they end up tossing it. So if you take a look at like the TI 990 mini computers, they're nearly non-existent because they've just all been sent to scrappers.
Yes.
And I have personally rescued some boards and some terminals from scrappers' hands who had absolutely no idea what these things were or where they came from or even how to use them.
Well, it's not even just the hardware, too. It's also the software that goes with them.
That's
Case
right.
in point, you're mentioning the TI 990. Well, guess what, guys? All the software that was done for the TI 99 at TI was done on the 99010, on the 99012. And all of that software has basically been lost to time. Nobody has a copy of it. Although, maybe someday somebody's going to come across a pile of discs and we might actually find it. That's what we live for.
It gets worse than that, though.
Yes.
I've said in the prior talks, a lot of the PDP-11 software is flat out gone.
Gone.
Because the
Even
license
even with
terms,
Decus. Yeah.
the license terms explicitly state that it must be destroyed after the user was done with it.
Correct.
So in those cases, we're now left with backup tapes and stuff like that. So even if you think you have something that looks not valuable, like it just says like 2 on the label, that could be like a distribution backup that we need to keep these machines alive.
Yes.
So definitely make friends with everybody you can.
Yes.
Play nice. Don't treat
Please.
people like they're
Okay, can I
terrible.
See if I can word this without becoming the enemy today.
Too late.
I'm listening.
Yeah. So this kind of builds upon both what I work on and what you're working on with the Plexus P20, but also June, because you're very vocal about this. I do want to hear you guys' opinion. Why? Why do we care? So the Centurion, let me expand. Let me expand, because now I am the bad guy.
Bad guy? No.
No, because the Centurion, for example, has 0 historical significance. It is just a mini computer company that came and went over the course of 10 years, right? And it just so happened to be one that's local to Texas, and it's one that tugged at my heartstrings. But there is in the large umbrella of computing history, it is nothing but a blip, and an insignificant one at that. The Plexus P20, very, very similar story. It is a late 80s multi-user system that is right on that cusp of transitioning between mini computer style systems and everybody having an IBM PC. I find it absolutely fascinating and love it and can't wait for the next episodes because I know what's coming. But in the umbrella of computing history importance, it is but a blip and an insignificant one.
Yeah, and David, I think even with the Centurion, the Plexus Machines, or any of this other strange esoteric stuff, even though it's a blip and historically insignificant,
it's part of the whole picture.
But beyond that, Tom, like people put their blood, sweat, and tears into these things, and I think their work should be honored. They may not be with us anymore, and just talking about it and documenting it, like with the Centurion, exposing people to this. Hey, this company came and went, but they did some cool work in different ways or whatnot. It's not just another like PC clone or whatever. And I find that brings joy to me, and I know you, and I feel that like the population loves to hear about that because people don't want to have worked their whole life on something and then just be forgotten.
Yeah.
And just because it was insignificant, right? It wasn't like an Apple or an IBM product, doesn't mean that we shouldn't enjoy it. People shouldn't learn and go, wow, that was cool. They did neat stuff. And like someone's work.
So that was where I was going with this, but I didn't want to flavor your response because I feel the same way. The Centurion, like I said, Centurion is a totally insignificant blip, but I've met the co-founder of the company before he passed, and Ken Romaine's here and Eric Lundquist are here, who both used to work at it, and they put a ton of effort into building these machines, writing software for these machines, and it's a story that I think is fantastic, and I want to read and know more about. But I think that's where we step in this whole panel because this is a way for us to share that story. So it comes down to the human element, right?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, well, let me ask you guys a question. How many of you have ever heard of the Coleco atom? Okay, wrong crowd. Okay, all right. No, okay, I'll trim this down. How many of you have used a Coleco atom? Okay, that's more like it. Okay, so not many people have heard about the atom, and there's a whole bunch of apocryphal, let's call it knowledge, I call it bullshit, but about the atom. And so I went and did a comprehensive 4-hour deep dive into every single part of that machine, the hardware, the software, and how it works. And that now is part of the historical context of that machine. So now you can understand and know what it was like to use that machine.
Yeah, they did things differently.
Yes,
like the tape drives.
The tape drives.
Right.
Who the hell makes a freaking tape drive from standard audio tapes, but it runs at like 20 inches per second when it's reading and writing? And
the whole middle, starting in the middle, all that stuff that you talked about. Yeah, it's amazing.
So going back to your point about it being insignificant, I don't think that's actually accurate.
Yeah.
So even though the Centurion uses generic CDC Hawk drives, for instance, and a lot of other systems use the similar technology, it's one of the few surviving relics that does.
Yes.
And I think that's the key piece. We have people in this room that have never used an atom. They don't know what it does, how it works. They've never seen a Centurion. They don't even know, frankly, a lot of us don't even know what a Hawk drive is or how it works. So preserving that is still preserving all of our history and something that we all can take something from, learn from. Something
it's all worth it.
See, it's worth it.
I agree 100%, but if we just stand up here and espouse one viewpoint only without exploring the other opposing viewpoint of why these machines end up in the scrappers, we can often lose sight of the larger picture and why we think it's important to save these machines. If we just say, back up everything, put everything on archive.org, you can get lost in the noise. And why is it important to back up everything? Where's the importance there? And to go back to what Adrian was saying with the Plexus, and I know that you've experienced this firsthand with the gentleman whose information was on the hard drive. I don't want to spoil it.
No spoilers.
I don't want to spoil it. But there's a deeper story here that has nothing to do with the hardware or the software. It has to do with the people that were involved with it. And for me, that's where the excitement is, and that's where the interesting part of it is. And then exploring
a lot of them
the hardware
have
lets you
retired.
explore the human.
Yes.
And a lot of them have retired and now want to talk about all that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I guess some don't, right?
Fascinating.
Sometimes the people don't want to talk about it.
Some people they don't.
Yeah, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they don't.
I'm done with that, I'm done.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about something that's peripherally related to what you guys are talking about, and I don't know how many of you guys have been involved in stuff like this, but I get inundated with emails from people wanting, like, I've got this old computer, what can I do with it? Can I send it to you? And of course, many of you know I quit taking that kind of stuff for the most part years ago because I don't have any room to store it anymore, and it was beginning to be almost to a hoarder type problem, and I had to really back off and clear some things out, and but I still get the emails all the time, and and I still have the people who are like, well, David, if you don't take this, I'm going to throw it away. And so many of the people here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area will know when that happens, I will be, okay, well, you can send it to me, and then I will post it on our local group, and usually within an hour, somebody's coming over and picking it up. But what a lot of people don't know that I do behind the scenes all the time is I coordinate these things with I know people all around the country. If somebody, I'll just give you an example. A guy contacted me a few days ago, and he's in, I forget which state it is, New Hampshire or somewhere. It's right near Rhode Island, and he was like, I have like a whole bunch of compact portable ones. I have to get rid of them. Will you take them? I'm like, no, I won't. But he's like, do you know anybody? And I'm like, well, I do know this guy that lives in Rhode Island. Let me call him up, So I call him and I coordinate. And I spend like, a couple hours coordinating him. He's like, yeah, I'll take them. And so he went and picked them up, And what I do this all the time. Like every week I spend like an hour or two coordinating something because I know somebody in every state who will probably go pick something up if I give them a call. And so that's kind of like my behind the scenes contribution to this. I don't ever make videos about it or anything like that, but it is something I'm doing all the time because I am in a unique position where people are always asking me that. I don't know how many of those things wind up being unusual, like that portfolio that you had there.
Hasn't given back.
But what portfolio?
What portfolio?
But anyway, I just wanted to mention that. So.
Well, if David wants to play bad guy, I'll play good guy. I'm currently in the industry with computers. That's my job, and I work with hardware now. So I'm involved with decommissioning hardware after it's done. So the companies I work for, when you do decommission hardware, you have to read the fine lines because sometimes when you send it to someone to decommission, all they will do is wipe the hard drive or the data, but then everything else gets melted down or sent to some place to make money off of. But there are some people that whenever you look at the fine print, when you're going to decommission the hardware, they will tell you, we will bring this and reuse it, send it to another store that's going to keep it or preserve it, or bring it to a museum. And so it's up to, I guess, businesses to say if they want to just make the money off of it or if they want to keep the hardware going. So I'm on the band of like, let's go, keep it all. Nothing should die.
Yeah. I am too, but it's important to understand why there's a counter argument to this.
Right.
Well, I wanted to lead into the next aspect of this, and David, you're experiencing this. I'm expecting an onslaught of retro computer hardware that is just sitting. After we did our VCF out in SoCal, we got contacted by a friend of the family in our area that said the father had passed away. His office in the back, they had a building in the back of the property. He's got a whole bunch of computers. He did stuff, Convex in the 90s, and we go out there, and it was just chock-a-block full. And he said the family's just going to throw them all in the dumpster. And he felt bad that they were going in the dumpster. So we took what we could. I mean, there's only so much space in whatever abode you're living in. But it is just the start. There's going to be hundreds of these things that we work with, except for what LJR owns there now. But it's going to be
coming out of the woodwork now.
Yeah, hundreds or thousands of these machines. Picture all the Commodores. There are people that I'll use the word hoarding. There are people that are hoarding it, or just collecting it, or just ended up there. They ran a business and then never cleared out mom's or pop's storage shed from the early PC store days. And there's just going to be stuff in there and all that's going to just end up on eBay and the market, and LGR, you'll be able to buy computers cheap again. So, but how, has anybody thought or felt this? I mean, there's only so many Centurions, but
like the overwhelming feeling you get from the rescue you did? Is that what you mean?
No, just that there's going to be an onslaught in the coming years of just a plethora of old tech, and we're going to have to throw some. No, there's no place to store it.
The thing is, like, people have been unfortunately passing away or having to move into retirement and getting rid of all that stuff for a long time now. So those types of things have kind of been happening all the time.
Yes.
The retro enthusiasm, as evidenced by what's happening at these VCFs, is growing. So at least there's more of a market because, when LGR started this, we were talking about in the car 15 years ago, this stuff was practically scrap all of it.
Yes.
And now, at least if you do get it, like David does, I do the same thing. I just take it in with the intent of immediately giving it away to the local community. But if it wasn't for the fact that they wanted to take it, I can't keep it. I have a small house in a city, right? So it's good that there's a market for it, but that does drive up the price. But at least, we're doing what we can to get it into the hands of people for free. And, all of us do this, right? So...
And I think we're going to have to come up with alternative methods of distribution too, especially going forward. One of the things that I've been milling around in my head is essentially for software developers that want to use these old machines. I've been contemplating setting up a library system that we could potentially take and pass between developers so we could continue to make software for these things.
It was like VisiCalc, wasn't the Apple II was a borrowed computer, right?
Correct. Yep.
That's the only reason why I ended up on the Apple II.
So, yeah.
Cool. So that does lead to a nice fun question. Who has a piece of retro hardware that you just love, but it just gotta go? Centurion Society.
If you come for the Centurion, I will kill you. With another computer.
I've had this portfolio a while, and I think I really...
I'll take it. Give me that back.
I think you'd really enjoy this. Yeah, there you go.
And I thought I knew you for 22
there's
hours.
still time.
So seriously, is there anything you've got? You're like, man, I love this thing, but
I'll go first in that I've been lucky and so grateful to have this amazing support from the community. People send me a lot of stuff. So I'll end up with multiple of the same machine.
87 Commodore 64.
Exactly. And as much as I love them, and I feel, part of me is like, okay, they're not common anymore. Well, Commodores are Commodore, but whatever. XYZ machines, not common. And if some custom chip dies, well, if there's no way to recreate it, then I need to, hobble machines together, make a working machine. So I have this urge to keep it all, but then a finite amount of space. So I definitely always have this, I need to thin the herd. One thing in, one thing out kind of mentality. And, we had a meetup locally in Portland the other day. I gave away, I think, 6 Commodore 64s that were working. All things I've fixed on the channel. People ask me all the time, what do you do with these machines you fix? They come in, I fix them, and then I immediately just give them away. They were given to me, so it's the right thing to do is just pass it on.
Right.
Yes.
And luckily, there's a big enough local community because I can't deal with shipping and all that stuff. But it is a struggle because I live in a small house in inner city, so there's no room for outbuildings and storage units and stuff like that.
Well, nature abhors a vacuum.
Yeah.
So even if you had a bigger house
or a storage unit, then I would just fill up the house again.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, so I like to collect certain accessories for these computers. There's just things I have an affinity for. One of them is serial ports. I cut my teeth on the early computers, serial ports, where if you had a port and you had a device, you can get that thing working. So I tend to collect, serial ports for the computers that don't have them built in. But I also love MIDI, so I love MIDI ports. I just got one for a Mac that I don't have the Mac, but I now have the MIDI interface. What are some of your favorite things? Like Sean, we know you love hard drives and floppy drives, but you're having shenanigans with those. Are you in love with the floppies, like your secret passion?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah. Well, I like, I do like weird drives. So like Jazz Drive, Zip Drive. I like things that are unreliable, so mostly zip drives. Yeah, SideQuest, that's a good one. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so you love to collect different types of drives. So you probably love the MD Con over here.
Yeah, so I peeked in for a moment. Looks pretty cool. But yeah, I would love one of those like old Sony Vios with the MD. Yeah.
Nice.
Very cool.
Others?
It's no secret that I think my passion, or not passion, whatever, that guilty pleasure is CRTs.
Okay.
You go into my house and you just look around, and you can be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Oh, wow.
I have a lot, because that's another finite resource that
I am the opposite on that. I've been avoiding printers and CRTs.
Yeah,
Just
I'm
the
with you in
minimal
the
for me.
printers, but the CRT is some. I think all of us have this enjoyment of retro, and it varies widely from person to person. And for me personally, using one of these old computers on the display it was designed for, it's like part and parcel with the experience. But I don't begrudge anyone who is like, oh, screw it, I just use LCD.
I love CRTs too. They look fantastic. The problem is I have no storage space for them. Everything I have to do, it has to be in the lab. Nice agreement with the wife. It never crosses the lab entrance. That's it.
Kate, anything for the Macs?
There's a lot of stuff to collect for the Macs. I have a lot of weird mice and trackballs.
I was almost going to ask for
like
mice.
the Apple TV mice, like a black mouse, and I have the transparent mice, and oh gosh, like trackpads and stuff like that are kind of rare, are pretty cool.
Nice.
And big CRTs. I love big CRTs.
Yeah, I love them, but I don't take them. My back thanks me.
Right. No, my back still hurts from carrying one the other day. But
Nice. Well, we got about 10 minutes left. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to come up to the mic?
I'll just yell for
Oh, you got to come up.
Come on.
We are recording this to fill up YouTube with more content.
So I just have to ask, what is your relationship with your local postmaster?
First name basis.
Kind of upset me. Like as someone who has a friend who is a postal worker, it's like,
postmaster.
are they shipping you 900 900-pound killer machines, or
UPS store?
30 CRTs like show up at the post office?
I have the opposite problem. I'm shipping stuff out every day, and so my local postman doesn't like me very much because I live on a dead end street, so he has to drive down and turn around, which always gives me time to run out with full of packages.
I love that.
He's always tried to figure out ways
Get out of here.
sneak by and run out, and he recently got a quieter vehicle, and now I can't hear him, but I still see him on camera.
Yeah, we need AI camera recognition for the mail vehicle.
So unfortunately, I'm making more trips to the post office now because he's sneaking by, and I know he's doing it on purpose because he doesn't want to take my. Because he complains that I'm at the beginning of the route, and so his vehicle is full, and he's like, I don't have anywhere to put these things, and so. Am I wrong?
I've had my postman say there's a form you can fill out on the night before because he's on a time schedule, right? And now he filled up his truck.
Yeah. Well, I've tried the online pickup thing, and I know Kevin, he does it all the time, but I do it and they just never show up. I don't know what the deal is with my city.
Nice.
I use a P.O. box, and they know me there. Hi, Mr. Adrian. You have a few big ones today.
Nice.
My FedEx driver absolutely loves dropping stuff off because I let him bring it into the lab, and then he gets to see all the stuff and hear a story about a piece of equipment that I show him. And then I tell him what's in the box, and he's like, "What? Really?"
that guy's not in a rush, is he?
No, not usually. I live out in the boonies.
When I'm at the arcade, it's the same thing because the UPS man will show up and he'll walk in and not the arcade, but the shop where we repair them because we'll have like 10 machines up and running or whatever. He's like, "Ooh, can I come in and play some of these?" And we're like, all right. So.
That's awesome.
Nice. Thank you for the question. Was there a follow-up or anything? Oh, no. I'm sorry. Yes.
With these old machines getting older and older, some of the old components are becoming more difficult to source. Will you think it is okay just to keep them alive, to use new components, even if these are replacements out of an RP 2040 or whatever? And second, do you think in the future the newer tech is going to have the same ethos that the old tech brings to us? Does a new, very thin MacBook is going to give you that same pleasure as seeing the original Mac or the Commodore 64?
I don't
Yeah, I mean, it's to answer the first question, yes, it's perfectly fine to use modern components to keep these things alive, because at some point, that's what we'll have. And more to the point, and I think this is very important to stress, we're going to reach a point where there is not going to be any more hardware of this vintage, and all that will be left will be the simulations and the emulators that we contribute to.
Yeah, we're running into a problem, for example, at the arcade, where you cannot source CRTs anymore, and a lot of these CRTs are at the end of their life, and we've already been having the discussion, like, what are we going to do in 10 years? Are we going to just start replacing them with LCDs? We don't really like that because it's not exactly the same feel, but at the same time, if we don't do that, the machine will be irreparable. So what do we do?
And those are special.
The solution's obvious. We literally start up an artisanal CRT production.
But to answer the second part of the question, I just don't personally feel like modern computers will ever be as collectible as vintage ones, and it's because they're just kind of there's nothing to differentiate. Like if you go to the Best Buy and you look at like all the different laptop computers there, nothing really stands out as ooh, that one's exciting anymore. And 10 years from now, nobody's going to remember a specific model. That's my opinion.
I think it's not going to be the same.
I think nostalgia, though, is a powerful drug, right? That a lot of us are thriving on. So we can't. I don't think we can predict necessarily that someone who's born now and got some, a particular iPad that they played a lot of games on. They're like, I'm 40 now and I have disposable income. I want to have that iPad again with those old games. So if someone has one on eBay that never got wiped,
that won't be possible.
Yeah, you can't download
all the software's always dead, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's all online now, right?
Yeah.
So
it has to be what
we have put ourselves in handcuffs, and we've allowed that software to die.
Well, although
I actually
the
have a
Naboo-
copy of the really impossible to get now SID tracker for the iPad. It doesn't exist in the Apple Store anymore.
Pulled from that.
It got pulled.
I know I used to have that, and I was looking for that recently and couldn't find it.
Yeah, my dad bought a stack of iPads, and he can't use any of them.
Yeah, I mean, my mother has an iPad is old. It's got some games she likes to play, and she just has cracked screen. She's like, I can't get rid of it. It's got the game I want.
But I still think if nostalgia is very powerful, and so people will find a way. If they are nostalgic about it, they will find a way. Just like the Retro Tink now, like you're emulating CRT with the scan lines and stuff, right? So maybe something like the Retro Tink could be cheap enough to where you don't need CRTs anymore. They're just $5. You pop them in with an LCD. There you go.
But I mean, we could do that now, Kate, right? But I guess it's that, I want the authentic experience.
Right.
So that's where the price premium comes from.
Yeah, the engineers / archaeologists of the future are going to have some interesting challenges, to say the least.
If the drive is there, if the market is there, people will reproduce CRTs. There are multiple places that build new vacuum tubes.
Yes.
A technology that's been dead for 70 years.
Yeah, but I personally beg to differ on that, and not about the vacuum tubes, absolutely. But like, if you look at NASA parts they used on the space shuttle, you would think, this stuff was made in the 80s and the 70s. We should be able to do it now. But the tooling is just gone. So the tooling to make a CRT is very different than a vacuum tube. You can make a vacuum tube at home, with the right glass blowing tools. You cannot make the glass bell and the lens and on the shadow mask without special tooling.
Challenge accepted.
Greatly oversimplifying how difficult it is to build a vacuum tube.
I know. I've seen them done.
Let's see if we can't get another question or two in. We're running out of time.
All right. I think everyone in this room has some sort of interesting story of the individual who first introduced them to computers.
Right.
Myself, it was a math teacher and the MECC. Who introduced you to computers for the first time?
Well, let's go down the line. Jeff?
First computer I ever experienced was at school. It was, I think, an Apple II, and so it was education, and that's why I'm sure most people are going to experience computers because they're forced to, because the teachers put it in front of you. And that was mine.
Well, what computer did you first break, Sean?
So actually, surprisingly, my parents were very against computers, didn't trust them, didn't like them. We didn't have a computer. But my aunt was very into computers and worked at a design firm. She had a Macintosh laptop. And I don't know if that's maybe where this all came from. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm the odd man out here. I grew up in a household of hackers. My father was a hacker. So, 1978, when I was born, Dad already had a TRS-80 Model 1, an MSI 8080 in the living room, and a PDP 1145 in the garage. I was going to be doing this whether I liked it or not.
Adrian.
I was 7, and my father owned a video store, and he bought me a VIC-20 through the wholesale connection. And that was 1982.
Wow. Nice. I'm envious.
I was 6, and my brother convinced my parents to get a VIC-20 and brought it home. So I'd never even heard of a computer before that time. And yeah.
Now look at you.
Yeah.
Cool. June?
So I don't think you're an outlier, Thomas, because my parents were also both into computers. My dad worked for Pertec.
Okay.
So he was constantly repairing like old machines. He had a business where we had an XL40 key to disk system.
Okay.
And he bought me my first VIC-20 when I was 8.
Okay. There you go. All right.
So my mom was an elementary school teacher, and so when I was really little, I loved going over to her classroom to help her set up during the summer because I would just play games all day on the Apple IIe and on the 2GS. So that's where I first fell in love with computers.
Oh, cool.
Kindergarten, Apple IIe. We had a computer class. They gave us a 5 1/4 inch floppy disk with our name on it, and I just said, "This is it. This is all I need."
And you still have the disc,
And
right?
thus the
I wish I
YouTubers.
did.
No need
That's
for
a Star
human
Wars
interaction now.
You died of dysentery and you were hooked.
David.
When I was 9 or 10 or so, my brother came home with a box of computer parts, 286s, 386s, acquired through means of which I still don't know how. But he was just like, "Here's a box of junk. Do something with it." And that was it. I was done.
Cool. Well, cool. Well, we're out of time. I want to thank all the panelists today. I learned a lot myself, and thank all of you for joining in and being here. And enjoy the rest of the show. And go play June's game.
Drink the beer.